Can I just say,
Yeah.
the very first question I ask Bill and Alec at the beginning of every season
Yeah.
is, am I dead? Because it could, like
It's a
that.
show about a hitman. So you have that insecurity going in.
Without a doubt. Well, I have that insecurity as a short Jew, but I have that insecurity because look at how many people are dead.
After he popped the trunk, and I saw what I saw, he whispered into my ear. He said Barry Berkman did this. I know you killed Janice. So you have two choices. Come with me to the station, turn yourself in, or fucking die. Oh.
Welcome to the Actors Side. Today, when I say television legend, I'm not throwing that term around. I really have a television legend here, and he is once again nominated for an Emmy for Barry. He's already won one, and this is your third nomination, I think. Welcome, Henry Winkler.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It is a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, you too. And, what do you think when people say television legend, but that's really what you are?
I don't know how you get there. I think it is because I've outlasted a lot of people.
Right.
You know, when I was coming up, when I was first starting, executives, young actors, they are no longer working.
Right.
And I am knocking on wood that I am.
Yeah, but it's well deserved. I
Thank
mean,
you.
obviously, 10 years as the Fonz.
Yes.
And it was so interesting. I think when you went on that show, it wasn't meant to be the big star of the show.
No, I had 6 lines.
Yeah, right.
I had 6 lines, and it grew. There was one show, the 12th episode of the first year, where I went back to school. I dropped back into school because I never finished. And I was going to cheat, but I didn't. And that episode, I believe still in cloth,
Yeah.
not in leather yet,
Right.
kicked the character into another gear.
It's amazing. You know, you are an inspiration for any actor coming to Hollywood because a lot of them come in for years. They can't get arrested here, but then you walk into this town and suddenly get a Mary Tyler Moore show.
It was amazing. That was my first audition.
Yeah.
I went to Ed Weinberger's, Weinberger, I believe, to his office. And he said, I don't have a script. All I know is you're sitting at a table by yourself and you say, please pass the salt. So while I'm talking to him, he had a glass on his desk with pencils, being a writer. And I, just while I'm talking to him, dumped the pencils out, put the glass down, picked up a pencil, clinked it, and said, don't bother yourself. When you get a moment, could you pass the salt? By the time I got back to the Sunset Marquis, where I was staying at the very beginning of my time here in Hollywood, I had the part.
And no doubt you would have the part. I mean, that just showed thinking on your feet there in an audition, which isn't easy to do.
No, but you know what I realized is for the young actors, they're not asking you to fill time and space. They're asking for your imagination, for the freedom of your imagination in that time and space.
Yeah.
You know, I just did a scene last week with, and Bill Hader is directing all of the episodes in the 4th year. And he said, you know, you write something and then you figure, okay, so I don't know exactly what it's going to be. And then the actor comes in and puts it inside their body, and it's more than you expected. And I thought that was one of the great compliments, but it is you. It is putting you in that time and space.
I have to tell you, I remember seeing your Mary Tyler Moore show. I actually interned on that show, so I was on that set for one glorious summer. That and the Bob Newhart show.
I did that too.
Yeah, see, MTM was your.
They were amazing because they were very loyal. If they liked you, then they would ask you back.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
even did a voice over the microphone in an airport for them. They asked me to be the voice. And then I did the Paul Sand pilot.
Which is great, yeah.
And I met Penny Marshall. She was in it. And Paul Sand was, while we were shooting, and I didn't quite get it. He was joking. I didn't know that at the time. And he said, "Oh, my God, when can I go home? What am I doing?" And I thought, "You have a pilot. What are you talking about going home?"
Yeah. I love it. And I do remember that episode of Mary Tyler Moore. You were sitting above on the stairs.
That's right.
There by yourself on a table.
Yes.
And I remember watching at the time. I'm going like, who is he? I mean, you just popped. And with 4 lines or 5 lines.
Thank you. That was also the first time I met Betty White.
Oh wow.
She was making Prince Orloff veal.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's wild. And then how long was it before you got Happy Days?
The very next week.
I'm telling you, this is.
Look, I have to say, it was a shock. I went to that audition, and everybody in the green room waiting to be called, and there were like 100 young men. Every one of them I had seen on TV.
Wow.
And there I was. I came from New York. I had an under 5 on As the World Turns, and that was it. And then I went in, and all I did was change my voice.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it came from. It unleashed me.
Wow.
Sir Laurence Olivier, I think, changed his nose.
Yeah.
When he changed his nose with putty, then he was able to find the character.
That is amazing. Well, when I say you just hopped into Hollywood, you hopped into Hollywood coming from Yale Drama School and the repertory company and everything else, too.
I believe that training is important. I think that you have to be honest about your talent, that you can do it when the door opens,
Right.
that you have to train it because you want to be more than a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
I wrote down, I do not want to be a flash in the pan.
Oh, wow.
And then you have to be tenacious. I see myself as that toy that you punch and it goes down and then comes right back to center. It has sand at the bottom.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are going to say no, but somebody is going to say yes.
Yeah.
And then when they do, you got to be ready. You got to be on fire.
And did you use all that classical training, because you did Shakespeare, you did all of that, you would expect at Yale. Did you use that, say, in a television sitcom like Happy Days or something?
Without a doubt.
You could use that.
Without a doubt. When Robin Williams showed up, I had a class in slow motion at Yale of moving my body and being aware of every muscle and freezing. And wouldn't you know it, he put me in slow motion during the episode.
Wow.
And so that came directly from my training.
That's why they make you do sword fights and things in acting classes, right?
Now, let me just say, I'm not good at Shakespeare. I'm so dyslexic. The iambic pentameter and I are not friends. I like to watch it. I can't do it.
Does that affect you memorizing lines and things and going by the script? When did you discover that you had that?
I did not discover it until I was 31.
Oh, wow.
So I had already been doing Happy Days for a while. My stepson, Jed, in the 3rd grade, we had him tested. And everything that they said about him was true about me.
Oh, wow.
So, but here it is. That kind of challenge doesn't stop you. There are workarounds for everything. It is up to you to use your imagination to find which one it is. That there is a wall in front of you, and your job is to become Mercury and find the hole to slip through. Truly, that Bobby Lewis was my teacher, and he said, you know, your job is to get the job. Then your job is to do it. But get it first.
Yeah. And that's interesting. You know, and then you have all the success on television, and then you're a leading man in movies. And you really were. Night Shift is a classic to me. And ironically, you, Michael Keaton, and Ron Howard, who was just sitting in that chair 2 weeks ago here, are all nominated for Emmys in the same year again now for different things.
But, and each one amazing. But I will say I saw 13 Lives. Now, that Ron directed about the saving of those soccer team, soccer team in the tunnels that filled up with water in Thailand, right? What was amazing, I said, you know, 13 is a great number for you. You had Apollo 13,
right,
and then you had 13 Lives.
Yeah.
Both of stories, you knew the end. Both stories you didn't care because they were so compelling. You were riveted from beginning to end.
Exactly. Yeah. That is true. And that was what his first major movie. I think
so. Yeah, the first major hit.
Yeah, and he directed you in that.
But in Night Shift, he was 25.
Yeah.
I think he was 25. And he said to me, the crew has been doing this for so long. Are they going to listen to me?
Yeah.
I'm afraid. And I said, Ron, you know what you're doing. And there was an E.F. Hutton commercial on at that time, which is when E.F. Hutton speaks, everyone listens.
Right, yeah.
I'm telling you, Ron would say, let me think about that. And the entire crew, entire cast would stop and wait to hear what he had to say.
Yeah.
Because he was so in charge.
That's great. You've had like such an interesting career. I was looking at all the things. There's the Adam Sandler period.
Another brilliant fellow.
Yeah, he is. He
doesn't dress well, but he is in charge of every detail of a project that he does.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was so frustrated by the way that they would cut his commercials for his movies, he bought the company in order to cut them himself.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you've done several, obviously The Waterboy, but you've been a part of Adam Sandler's rep company, as it were.
Yes.
And so many things, right up to, in movies, to The French Dispatch, working with somebody like Wes Anderson, has to be a joy.
That was amazing because... you sit in a waiting room of velour curtains on pipes, making the four walls.
Yeah.
You get a baguette with cheese, butter, and ham, maybe a thermos of cold soup, and you wait until you're called. And Benicio del Toro, he said, I don't know, I would never do this if it wasn't Wes. I would go back to the hotel. I'm waiting here in the cold. And Wes would, I told this story before. He said, Henry, I said, oh my God, I'm going to be directed by Wes. I said, yes, sir. He said, could you move a millimeter to your left? I said, I can. And here I go. And that, he was so precise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
very little improvising with Wes.
Is that right?
Oh, my God.
I would think with all those actors and Bill Murray and everybody else that is part of his world.
Maybe Bill Murray does.
Yeah.
But Bob Balaban, who was my brother.
Yeah.
And Adrian Brody, our nephew. Right. It was...
Wow. And you just gave it away that you're shooting season 4 now, so we know you're coming back here, and of course,
well, you know what? There's more comedy. That's all I can say.
Yeah. There
Bill
is.
has hired a man named Gino
Yeah.
in my house. If God forbid I tried to reveal anything other than there's more comedy.
There's more comedy. Well, it's interesting too because I think your character of Gene, the acting teacher, started out in a kind of a darker place,
Yes.
and he lightened up. He became
Yes.
more fully dimensional and
Yes.
human
Right.
as the series has gone on.
That is true. I was doing it, and I said to the boys, "Wait a minute, is Gene an asshole?"
Mhm.
And they went, "Yes, he is." And just in the way that I approached it, they said, "Oh, yeah, we could write that also."
Ah,
And so he grew, and here I am.
was that important to you to evolve him, in other words, into
I
that?
did not think about that. What
Yeah.
was important is that I created someone who was compelling.
Yeah.
That's all I cared about. And that I gave Alec and Bill their vision,
Right. Of that.
their vision of the character.
Playing an acting teacher, did you ever think you'd play an acting teacher like that? And what are you getting out of it?
Okay, so it is the part of a lifetime.
Yeah.
I work with these amazing people. I just yesterday, I did a scene with Sarah Goldberg.
Oh, wow.
We don't have that many scenes together. In the beginning, she was in my class,
Right.
and then look where she went.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have taught 5 classes in my life.
Yeah.
One at Northwestern for Gary Marshall, rest his soul. One at Emerson College.
Right.
2 for Vulture, the website, and 1 for South by Southwest.
Oh, okay.
They asked me to come and teach a class, and I thought, okay. And 600 people showed up.
Wow.
And a young lady from Israel who flew in from Israel came up to do a scene.
Was that after Barry had been on the South by?
Yes.
Okay. Is that weird? Going out and teaching a class?
It wasn't, because I didn't think character. I only thought, I want every actor who comes up on the stage to taste something they didn't before, to think of something they haven't before.
Okay.
That was my intention.
Yeah.
And then I just taught one for the New York School of Film
Oh.
over in Burbank.
That's so cool. This year, man, first of all, tell me about working with those dogs that you did here.
There were 38 dogs, and they culled and gleaned them. I made friends with every one of them.
Because they say never work with kids or animals.
Well, I'll tell you. Then they chased me, and then of course that little peanut kept chasing me down the street. He was in scenes, and then maybe the name was Windust, I forget. But they cut him.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's Hollywood.
I love dogs. I
Yeah.
have 3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
this
inherited our son's dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had a baby, and the dog is an idiosyncratic 3-legged German Shepherd that we don't trust around the baby.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
so now he's in my house.
Oh my God. All right. So you had a scene that actors would kill for here, the interrogate. You know the scene I'm talking about, the interrogation scene. And it was extraordinary to watch. I can't imagine what it was like to shoot.
I will tell you that we did not rehearse it. There was only a crane in the room. There was no crew. There was my acting partner, Robert Wisdom, and I'm
Right.
telling you,
And he's great.
I stood on his shoulders.
Did you?
That is not a joke. That is not hyperbole. He was so powerful. And I had done a scene with him before in my acting class in my school,
Right.
when he came to visit me. And I'm telling you, it pushes you against the wall. He's sitting in his chair. We're doing the scene. Don't know how it's going. Just, I'm with Robert. We do it, I think, 5 times. The crew applauded. And I just took Robert's hands when he moved that close to me.
Yeah.
And I just took his hands and we squoze hands. Like, I think we got there.
Wow.
Oh my God. And I had no idea if we would get there.
Yeah.
And then 5 times. I never got up. I just sat there. I was in the bubble. I didn't have a conversation with Robert. And we just did it. And then Bill said, do it again. That was
amazing. Amazing. And so we're going to get more comedy, though, in season 4.
There is more comedy.
Okay.
No. Now you can hear Bill laughing at Video Village.
Oh, okay.
And when you make Alec Berg the creme de la creme of comedy,
right,
and Bill Hader, who is on another planet,
right,
he is a cinephile. He does producing, writing, directing, and starring.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing to say is you don't see a ripple in the water.
Wow.
He goes from one to the other all day long, day after day, and he is as calm as a cucumber.
I love that. He's so amazing.
He's amazing.
I mean, both of them to have those, you've had some amazing mentors, directors, people you've worked with. I think Adam Sandler you mentioned here, but
Mitch Hurwitz,
of course, with Arrested Development. How could I forget Arrested Development?
Mitch would come and he would say this. And I said, but what I'm saying is very funny. He said, say this. And then what I said, brand new, was funnier than the funniest thing I would have said over here.
Yeah.
These men and women that I work with are amazing.
Yeah.
They are so fast.
Wow.
You're doing a scene, they walk in, they go, I got it. Here's the button.
And that's it.
And then
You're
off
a
to the
director
races.
yourself, but Gary Marshall must have been a real
Gary
mentor.
Marshall. He taught me what it was like to be on a set.
Yeah.
He taught me what it was like to be an executive producer. He taught me what it was like to have grace as an actor. There is, I told this story before, but I've only seen this once in the entire time, not just the 10 years of Happy Days, but then my friendship with him until he passed away too soon.
Yeah.
I got an offer for $1,000 to speak in Little Rock, Arkansas for the newspaper at a mall. I was leaving on the red eye from Happy Days,
Right.
going right to the plane. Okay. We finish the show. We have pickups. And he's introducing the cast from the guest cast. He's introducing them. And I went up and I said, Gary, I have to get a plane. And he just nodded. Then he finished. He put the microphone down. He came over to me, grabbed me by the shirt, and pushed me against the wall. He said, they have every right to be introduced like you in the beginning. Don't interrupt me again. I said, Gary, here's my throat. And I'm sitting over here. I'm putting tape on my mouth. Tell me when you need me. And I never. Now, Ron.
Yeah.
First week, I'm a little from New York. I'm doing the scene. I'm punching the script. I can't do this. I can't make it work.
Right.
Ron took me by the shoulder, walked me to the back of Soundstage 24.
Right.
He said, you know, the writers are trying as hard as they can. Let's not hit the script. Now, he's 18. I'm 27.
Right.
I said, Ron, I will never hit the script as long as I live. So you learn along the way.
Big lessons that you learned. Before we have to go, since we're back on Happy Days, I have to ask you something I've heard. The motorcycle that Fonzie had was Steve McQueen's in The Great Escape?
Okay. It was, there was like, you know, on the envelope, you've got a little square with your return address.
Right.
So it said rented by And there, the name just flew right out of my mind.
Mersher,
A motorcycle guy.
motorcycle company.
A motorcycle guy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
And he said, "Oh yeah, just before this, the bike was in Germany or wherever they shot it
yeah.
for The Great Escape,
Oh.
which I saw and couldn't breathe because Steve McQueen was my idol.
Oh my God.
I met him only once when he was walking down the street in Beverly Hills. I was walking the opposite direction, and we nodded, and we kept walking, and to this day, in 2022, I kick myself that I did not tell him how much he meant to me when I was in high school.
Wow, he was amazing, and he really rode that motorcycle.
He
too.
rode that motorcycle.
Yeah, you didn't.
I did not. I rode it for 17 seconds.
You did.
I did. I rode it up the hill. So we're inside stage 5 Paramount.
Right.
And I'm supposed to get on the bike, and I'm supposed to only move it like 4 or 5 feet.
Right.
Our director of photography is sitting in a director's chair against one of the trucks they brought onto the set.
Yeah.
My turn. I'm so dyslexic. I have no idea. What is the gear? What is the thing? What is the boom? What do you do? And so I revved it and I shot forward. He jumped out of the chair. The bike went down. We slid under the truck. They came running up to make sure that the bike was okay because it was rented.
Right.
And so then when they found that was good, then they said, okay, Henry, are you all right? Because I only had 7 lines. I wasn't such a big mach on it.
That is amazing. I could talk to you all day, but I have to congratulate you again on the Emmy nomination. I wish you the best of luck and can't wait for season 4 of Barry here. Henry Winkler, you're the best.